Hi everyone, Psalmist David here with another fresh bread, and thanks for letting me into your space. And we have a lovely little word of encouragement for you, and then we have some music. Yeah, so we'll just have a great time. Um, so it was Super Bowl, and I like to watch these big games because often God has a little message for us in them, and this Super Bowl was tied. The two teams were tied right down to the last couple of minutes. And the team that had the ball recognized that if they could keep the ball to the last few seconds and then score, the other team would not have an opportunity to return in time to get the ball down the field to score back to either tie or to win the game. So the thing was to use all of the rules, all of the game rules, to be able to take time off the clock, waste the time, and get it down to the last few seconds. And then you score, and then the other team does not have the time to come back. And it was about strategy, and it got me thinking. James says, the book of James, chapter 4, says, "Submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." This resisting of the devil is central to us winning. We have got to figure out how to resist the devil in the different ways that he comes. And I got to thinking, we can open the door and see that the devil is out there and say, well, I'm not going to come out and get involved in that. But of course, we've opened the door so we see all of what it is. And it's interesting because earlier in James chapter 1, verse 13, he says, "Let no one say when he's tempted, I'm tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when he's drawn away by his own desires and enticed." When we open that door and see all of the sin out there right on our doorstep, it's harder then to resist the devil because something in it we see and we might like, and we might get enticed, and we're drawn away by our own desires. And it's much harder to stay inside when the door is open. But if we lock out the enemy so he cannot come back at us, if we don't even go near the threshold, if we do not open the door, period, we hear him on the outside knocking and shouting, "Hey, it's so much fun out here. Why not come and try this? Come and do this." And we don't even, we draw the curtains so we can't see outside. We don't even go near the threshold of the door, near the step at all. We don't open the door. Then the enemy does not have the comeback. He doesn't have the space. We don't give him the mental space. We don't give him the space in our minds. We don't give him space in our hearts. We take away any of the powers that he has to entice us and draw us away. I got to thinking about that and how much easier life would be if we don't even engage in opening doors to certain things, especially where you might not be the strongest. Um, if you've had issues with alcohol, let's say, stay far from any kind of environment. Don't dabble in even the alcohol flavored drinks. Don't dabble because that's when that door is open and you start to see a whole lot of stuff that's out there. It's harder to not be tempted. If you've had other issues with your past, you need to keep that door closed and stay as far as you can from that threshold. Don't even go near it. So I just got to thinking, how do we win in this life? We win by playing the strategy game, taking time off the clock. Spend as much time with God fill our minds with as much of God so that there's not much space. There's very little time that the devil has to try to infiltrate our thoughts and our minds, because we're so filled with the Spirit of God. Our time, we are wise with how we spend our free time so that the devil doesn't have much space to try to enter in. We're careful with what we let through our eye gate and ear gate, and because those are things that get straight into the soul, straight into our minds, and that's where the battlefield is fought. If the devil has room, he can come back after we score. He can come back and score big time. And getting back to the Super Bowl game, judging by how the game went up until that last few minutes, if the other team had gotten the ball and had a fair bit of time on the clock, they would have scored. Because this was a high-scoring game. Both teams were scoring. And if the other team had gotten that ball back, they could have scored. But the team that had 2 minutes left and had the ball played the strategic game. And we as believers have to play a strategic game. It's a war. And it's for our mind. And the devil wants to tempt us. He says, each one is tempted when he's drawn away by his own desires and enticed. If we know we have certain desires, we have to be wise. We have to be upfront about it. Listen, this is not my strong point. I'm not even going to open the door. I'm going to stay far from that. And God will honor and God will give us strength. But if we're not wise, then we will be drawn away and tempted by our own desires. And even though the Lord's Prayer says, lead us not into temptation, God isn't the one leading us. We are drawn away by our own desires. And so we have to watch that. And God can only help us to the degree that we want him to. He is not going to force himself on us. All right? So I want to encourage you today. We can win. We can overcome today. Let us play a strategic game and don't give the devil any room to come back. Let's defeat him authoritatively. Win the cup. All right? Praise God. I want to be a victor, Lord. I want to win. I want to win. Don't want to be tempted, drawn away by my desires. So God help me today. Help me today to turn away from evil. I want to be clean before you, Lord, righteous in your name. Help me to resist the devil, Lord. Resist him and he must flee. In your name, O God, with your power. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amen. Be strong today, be an overcomer today.